Hey everybody, it is Theological Thursday, the day where we answer all of your weird theological questions, or just interesting ones, things that have bothered you. Like the question, why did Jesus take so long before he went to raise Lazarus from the dead? That's what Dr. Dave answered last week. You might want to go back and have a look at it if you missed it. But today, there's this passage right in the beginning of the Bible, from Genesis chapter 6. Let me just find it here. And it's caused a lot of different ideas and thoughts and what it could mean. A little bit weird. Here it is. It's from Genesis chapter 6. We're reading from verse 1 through to, 11, 12, something like that. It says, "When human beings began to increase in number on the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them that they chose. Then the Lord said, 'My spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortal beings. Their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterwards, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart were only evil in the time. The Lord regretted that he had made human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled. So the Lord said, I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race I have created, and with them the animals, birds, and the creatures that move along the ground, for I regret that I've made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. This is the account of Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all the people on the earth had corrupted their ways. So God said to Noah, I'm going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy them and the earth. So make an ark, etc., etc. So he told Noah to go ahead and make the ark. But this question of the Nephilim, there's been a lot of theories. A lot of people, they think maybe they were fallen angels. After all, the word Nephilim means fallen ones. So some people proselytize it, maybe proselytize. They put forward they postulate that maybe they were fallen angels because the word Nephilim means fallen ones, and so there's all sorts of art throughout history, and certainly lately people have been thinking, they're giants, they're fallen ones. We read in Numbers that that people thought they were giants. Of course, Numbers 13, verse 31. That's the passage where Caleb had come back from the promised land, and he said, it's a great land, we should go, but everyone else was scared, and it says they filed a bad report, or an evil report. It was actually basically a lie, saying that they were giants over there, and they were the descendants of Anak, they were the Nephilim, and of course they weren't. They were deliberately lying to try to put fear into people. But anyway, back to our Nephilim story. And by the way, welcome to my backyard. This is our beautiful swimming pool, which is constantly full of leaves, as I've told. I had to clean it for this morning's little video. Back to the Nephilim. So here they are, these people, and a lot of people think that, in fact, there's a lot of myth about it. In Islam, they also have Noah myths and Judaism. So when the people who went to make a movie about it back in 2014 started researching, they found all of these other myths, and they decided in that movie with Russell Crowe that they should add these giant rock-like creatures into the movie, and it was a terrible movie. Don't watch it. Even if you are isolated, if you happen to be ever in a situation where you're isolated at home and you can't leave, don't watch Noah. It's not worth it. It wasn't very good. But that was one of the myths. That's where those rock-like creatures came from. And of course, it's ridiculous. Maybe you've seen archaeological evidence where there are archaeological archaeologists digging in archaeological dirt. And you might have seen massive skeletons and, proof positive that these are, the Nephilim. There is definitely Nephilim, and the Bible's true, and it must be, because here we have skeletons. Well, and if you have seen that, you wouldn't be the first to fall for it. Turns out those photographs were actually a hoax. They were actually put together for a Photoshop competition, and in the program on the computer, Photoshop, they put it together, and they wanted to make these skeletons look really, really huge, and they won the competition, I believe. And they every 5 years or so they make the rounds of the internet, and they catch a whole lot of well-intentioned Christians off guard, and we all think that the Nephilim are real. But in actual fact, the story of Genesis 6 that we just read is most likely none of the above. They're not fallen angels, coming down to marry human women. When you read through those chapters in Genesis and following, and through most of the Bible, when they have genealogies, you read these genealogies, and the point of the genealogies is to point to Jesus. That God is trying to show us that even though mankind is screwing the world up, and even though we keep making mistakes, there's a thin line of redemption, a thin line where there's somebody righteous. In the story today, Noah was the one righteous man, so we follow Noah to his sons. Which one are we going to follow? We're going to follow Shem. So the genealogies after Noah follow the one righteous person in that family, Shem, and then his son, till we come down to Jacob, who believed and had that experience and encounter with God, and out of Jacob came the 12 tribes of Israel, and then we follow those, and eventually we end up with Jesus. And the point is that there's always this redemption, but it's a very thin line. It's only holding on by a thread, if you like. There's only one time where there's another genealogy that doesn't follow that, and it's this one, where it follows the genealogy of Cain. Never again do they bother with any of the other sons, but in this time they did. And when you read Genesis chapter 5, the part before this, they actually go through the line of Cain. And when you read through it, it goes Cain, from Adam, Cain, Enoch, Irad, Methuselah, then Lamech, and then Lamech's 4 sons. And then you've got Adam on the line of Seth. It outlines his genealogy. From Adam, you go Seth, Enosh, Kenan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah. And it's interesting that the 6th generation from Adam on both sides, one is Lamech and the other is Enoch. And Lamech was evil. He was the first person to introduce polygamy, for example, had 2 wives. He built the city, and then he taunted God with what they call the taunt song. Whereas on the side of Seth, you have Enoch, who was so righteous, it just says he walked with God and then was not. And so we believe that he was one of the only men in history that just got taken to God, and bypassed the whole death process. But basically, what I'm saying is that one line follows Cain's line. The genealogy follows his line, which is unrighteous, and you follow Seth's line, which is following the line of righteousness. So when we get to Genesis chapter 6, where it says that the sons of, the sons of God married with the daughters of men, what is most likely the explanation is that the sons of Seth's line, the righteous line, the godly sons, married the daughters of Cain's line, the worldly daughters. And the result was that, once again, that thin line of redemption was threatened. Once again, we could lose this. God was trying to show us just how bad the planet had got and how close it was to missing out on redemption. If the line of righteousness was compromised, if it was diluted, if it was corrupted, Jesus could never have been born. It had to have a line of faith, faithful people that believed God with all their heart. And that was the line that we keep following. So in Genesis 6, God is Moses, whoever wrote Genesis 6, is highlighting just how bad it really was. It wasn't just, a few naughty people, robbing the convenience store down the road. This was a violent, nasty, evil place. And now that the righteous people had started marrying the unrighteous, we see that the plan of redemption was threatened. And we see that in other places in the Bible as well, where God highlights this is where the plan is threatened. When Haman in the book of Ruth threatens to wipe out all of Israel, and once again the line is threatened. So you see that over and over in the Old Testament, but God's redemptive plan wins through. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I'm sorry to disappoint you that the rock creatures out of that movie, Noah, probably not so much. And really there were no giant skeletons. And while there were large people in those days, as there are some today, basketball players, these guys were not the result of angels marrying humans. It was more, as I said, the righteous marrying into the unrighteous and threatening purity of faith. So God bless you. I hope you found that interesting, and can't wait till next week, because a little birdie told me we might be actually looking at the second coming, the end times, and all sorts of things like that. So Dr. David, if you're out there watching this, better get ready, because I'm going to be asking you some questions next Thursday. God bless you.